Hey guys, this is Youngblood,
This is Pilgrim.
and today we're going to be giving you a tutorial on basic tech isolations and different concepts and different ways you can do them. So I'm going to start out talking about two kinds of basic tech isolations, two-dimensional, and then I'm going to move it over to Pilgrim. He's going to talk more about the 3D side of isolations, and we're going to pop back to me for a shorter little segment on taking these and putting them into like larger tuts rather than just with your hands. So we're going to start out with regular 2D isolations. So there are two basic concepts or basic types of isolations that you can do in a two-dimensional space. The first is called focal point isolation. So in focal point isolation, you have one focal point, which would be like right here, and then you move your hand around that focal point, creating the illusion that your hand is rotating around one space, almost like there's a steel rod there and you're moving it around. Kind of like the circumference of a circle, you're just moving your hand around like it's a circle. And the focal point can be anywhere on your hand you choose, so it can be like here, or it can be, here or here, as long as you rotate your hand around that focal point. It's like here, rotate anything around that focal point. And your hand position is going to stay pretty stationary, because you're really only moving your hand around the focal point. But as long as you pick one and then just move your fingers around it, creating the illusion that there's just one, like a steel bar that your hand must stay on, that it can never move off of, that's essentially focal point isolation. The next type of isolation is called fingertip isolation. So what this is that there's going to be an isolated point, and that stays on one or two fingertips, and then you move your hand based on that isolated point. So say I have an isolated point right here, move up and up. The point moves with my finger, so it's not stationary like a focal point, but I'm moving the rest of my hand based around that isolated point on one of my fingertips. And it can be on any of your fingertips. It can be on your thumb, so like that. It can be on two fingers right here, so like that. As long as it remains on your fingertip, as long as that isolated point stays on like one or two and doesn't, you don't create a myriad of isolated points that you're working around, you get the illusion that you're almost crawling with the isolated point, that it's moving based around that one finger and fingertip. So that's fingertip isolation. So now I'm going to pop you over to Pilgrim. He's going to talk about the 3D side. Go.
Alright, so the best way to describe the 3D side of isolations is describing the wall. And what the wall is, it's an imaginary wall placed on the grid, and what you're going to do is you're going to either push away from it or pull towards it. And this creates the illusion that this point is isolated while you move the rest of your hand around it. So you can push and pull at any of the three dimensions, X, Y, Z. Like that. And you can tie them in with the other concepts we previously showed you. Yep. And then you can pull away and travel on the grid.
So it's essentially like imagining an invisible wall in like a cube kind of shape that you're either pushing against or pulling away from. That your hands are almost connected to that invisible wall, and then you push it in or pull out from it.
Yep.
And then again, like he said, you can like pull out and then turn into focal point isolations, where it's like, you're pulling down and then start doing focal point isolations, then push up. And it's all about combining all the concepts together to create an illusion of isolated points, that your hands moving around a set amount of points and that you're never breaking from that. Yeah, that's 3D. So now we'll just talk about it, basically how you can apply it with like tutting. Tutting, it works the same way as it would with your finger. You can use focal points, like your wrist could be a focal point, or your whole hand, and you just move it around like that. If you have your wrist as your focal point, just rotate like that. Same, you can do fingertip, where you got like, and you move based on that fingertip. But it's essentially taking the idea that we talk about here and then just putting it on a bigger scale. You can use it with the wall, like push in, now you have that, or pull out, you can do all that and just basically finding a point, like isolate here, move it around there. Isolate here, move it like that. Isolate here, like that. It's all about just taking what you already know and then applying it into a bigger scale, into the essentially the 3 points that you have on a basic arm tut, your elbow, your wrist, and your fingertip. Just applying an isolated point in all of those, like those 3 sections of your basic arm tut. Just taking what you already know, putting it on a grander scale. So that's pretty much the basics of tech isolations, 2D, 3D, adding it to tutting. I hope that was pretty helpful. It's kind of basic, but you know, it should give you all you need to know. If you need to know anything more, send either me or him some private messages. Always down to give feedback, give more information, and yeah, hope you enjoyed it.
Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, Youngblood out. Peace.
Pilgrim out.
Pilgrim's also out.